Hello. I've been privileged. I've been part of many marvelous projects in the world. I mean, from Athens Olympics to congestion charge in London, which I've been in charge with, or large telecom deployments in the Gulf or in Romania, all sorts of high-scale, high-stake global projects. Even I've been part of largest transaction in the world ever recorded, okay? And I was always looking for this question: why do we need management? What do we manage? So I'm going to invite you now to turn to the person next to you and tell them in a minute, what do you manage? And then switch. Please turn. Come on, it's not rhetorical. Do it. What do you manage? Switch. All right. I think that's enough. If I let you do it, you'll do it until tomorrow, and you'll say, okay, people, resources, processes, clients, all sort of stuff, subsidiaries, systems. I heard the word system. Okay? What do you do with them? You organize them. So, why you don't organize them once and then retire to Hawaii? Okay? This is shaka, yeah? Aloha. This is what the people in Hawaii do. Okay? So why you don't organize once and retire to Hawaii? Tell me. Because there is change. And change is coming all the time. So, especially in the times we're actually living. So I heard this expression: change will never have such a slow pace as today. So change today is very slow. All right? It's going to come faster and faster and faster and faster. So this is actually the premise I'm building my presentation on. You are here as managers to manage change, nothing else. Okay, so we will go through a couple of questions, well, 5 questions. So what causes change? So why we have change? Why is the rate of change accelerating? And what that means to us as managers? And what can we do about it? And at the end, maybe, just maybe, we'll find the answer: what's the future of management? Okay? On a rare occasion, I took the bus from the airport. Are you driving to work? Most of you. Yeah, so you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyway, so I was taking the bus and thinking, okay, this bus runs on a schedule. Yeah? It has timing. Always come or should come at the same time. So you rely on the bus. If the bus is late or the schedule changes, your life will be upside down. All right? Right? For the ones, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? So now, we're thinking, okay, technology, AI, globalization, it's actually producing the changes. In reality, it's the bus. Okay? Actually, what the bus represents, which is we are dependent on certain things. So the dependency creates change. If I wouldn't be dependent on things, there will be no change. Not at all. I spent January in Colombia. And there was this village, which is an indigenous reserve. And these guys, when we had the pandemic and COVID arrived, they've been given a choice. I mean, the Colombian government provided vaccines for everybody. And they did understand what the vaccines are. So they called all the chiefs of the tribes. They are called, I think, Mamo. They called all those Mamo, and they said, okay, what do? We take the vaccine or do something else? But again, what I want to emphasize, they knew what the vaccine is. And their decision was, okay, we don't take the vaccine, we isolate. So they closed for 2 years, completely. All the indigenous villages. Of course, nature helped, but also helped the fact that they had no dependency on the outside world. They had not even one case of COVID. I'm not talking one village, none of the villages. Nothing, because they had no dependency. If I go on and move there, apparently I can live like them, but I'm still going to get old, so I still depend on something. Okay? Now, why is the rate of change accelerating? I would ask. Let's look at agriculture. So in the past, in an agrarian society, we had this farmer with a plow, and depending on the horse, selling all the produce nearby to the neighbors and so on. I've been this summer to Puglia, and people producing oil in Fratoio. These are the oil mills. They were very proud that they are selling direct to families. So very low dependency there. People in Puglia are on the blue belt, are some of the people living the most, yeah, to very, very 120, 110, 100 years they were, okay? So very little dependency. So the farmer in the past has had very little dependency on anything. But what about today? Agriculture today. I don't know if you serve any company in agriculture, but it's all IoT and AI and high technology. You can't do agriculture without that. It's highly embedded, and we might not be in contact with it, but the big farms, even in Romania, are so highly dependent on technology you wouldn't imagine. Okay? All their machinery. So what is it with AI? How big is the dependence? Well, I think Sam Altman said that we'll invest $850 billion in AI. $850 billion of assets require 12 nuclear power plants to actually fuel that. Being in this industry and serving some, there are some shared service companies actually in Romania serving data centers, all right? And I know of many data centers put on pause in the US because they have no power, okay? So think about on how many people that depends, you know? To have the power, to do clothing for the workers in the power plants, to do clothing for you, for everybody, to produce food and feed you, you know, to produce all this equipment here, the screens and everything, which help us actually go ahead and learn and stay connected and so on. How dependent is the world? So this is why the rate is accelerating. So, and it's not only that, it's this has a tremendous impact on us, okay? So I depend on a few people. Those few people depend on more people. More people depend on even more people, and eventually, one of those will depend on me. So what's this? Interdependency. So we are all interconnected, right? So, managers. What do you manage? Change. What's the change creating? problems, opportunities, okay? When you manage the problems and opportunities, what do you put in? Solutions, yeah? When you implement solutions, what do the solutions do to the system? Because you like the word system. What does it do? Solutions create more change, more problems. So if I'm a manager, create change, and the change create problems, what do I create? Problems. Okay? I have to create problems and opportunities as a manager. This is my nature. This is why I'm here, to create problems. Okay? When you don't have problems, there is a time when you don't have problems. When you're dead, yeah? We don't want to be dead, yeah? All right? So you create problems. And because of interdependency, you have, the more change you create, you have more problems. To resolve that, being so interdependent, you need what? You need cooperation in your organization. Do you? Do people cooperate? Not convincing, yeah? Because organizations are very, 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 very complex. And some people are being nostalgic and say, okay, I used to have a simple life. So I used to have a better quality of life. Because life was simpler. I depended on less. Yes, you had a better quality of life, but a much lower standard. A much lower standard of living. Okay? So now we are at the highest standard of living we can have. All right? So, can you build anything from scratch? Can you actually build an iPhone? Any one of you? From scratch? You think? Yeah, but you need the materials. You need the power in it. You need all that. Can you build a plane? Is there any company or any person or group or organization that can build a plane by itself? No. They all have, I don't know, manufacturing in one country. They have power from another country. They have distribution in another country, and so on. We all take this for granted. So what can we do about it? How to deal with all this complexity? How to deal with all this interdependency? Stop the change. Can we? Unlikely. Can we? Not really. All right. So we can't stop the change to stop the problems and have less complexity, because we'll have less innovation and much lower standard of living. So where do we find the answer? Mother Nature. Okay? It started with single-cell organisms. So we have some cells, some bigger, some smaller. And the bigger cells started to eat the smaller cell. So then we needed what? Some sort of cooperation and safety in numbers. Yeah? So this is a cyanobacteria, one of the first bacteria that actually, let's say, single-cell organisms join together to have safety in numbers. All right? But then nature evolved, and every 10 cell or so started to develop a totally different function, more or less like this organizations we are leading, yeah? So each cell was serving the other cells with something else, right? And it became complex. So how do Mother Nature resolve interdependency and complexity? How? Are you a chain of specialized interdependent cells? Are you? Is that all you are? Are you that? Not really. This is a picture You know, maybe it's no secret, I love horses and people in this particular order. But it's a picture of me with one of the horses I learned from. And but what I meant to illustrate with this is that besides specialized cells that cooperate and are interdependent, there is conscience. Conscience of the whole. So every single cell in us knows it's a part of something bigger. And this is how it should be in the organizations. When there is one cell in the human body that only cares for itself, what's the name of that cell? How do we call it? Cancer. Cancer. If you have no conscience and you don't serve the whole, it's cancer. Okay? So, we are not our material possessions, we are not ourselves, because we actually change our cells. We are only part, we are the meaning and the conscience that each cell is part of something bigger. Okay? Now, each organization needs to be effective and efficient. You know what effective is and the difference in between effective and efficiency. Effective means to actually achieve a purpose or an objective. Efficient means to achieve a purpose or an objective with optimal resources, put it this way. Yeah, optimal resources. And we need to be, our organization needs to be effective and efficient on short and long term, correct? All right. I will introduce you to some roles of management. For being effective in short run, you need functionality, so you need to serve the needs of your internal or external clients. So you need a role of producer. All these roles can be in one person or distributed in a team or in an organization. To be efficient on the short term, you need structure. All right? So you need administration. This is why you invented project management. This is why you have finance. All right? Now, to be effective on long run, you need somebody to keep an eye on the horizon and look on the objective far away and follow that. Who's that in an organization? The entrepreneur. Taking people, but never losing sight of the end goal. That's the entrepreneur. He's not the person making things happen. That's the producer. The entrepreneur has vision and is able to move in that direction. What about being efficient in long run? You need relationship and networking. You need an organization with a conscience that actually each person or function belongs to a bigger whole. All right? Please look at your chairs. They have 4 legs. Are they effective? Yes, they support you. Are they efficient? You're not sitting on a block of cement, is it? So they're light. They're efficient on short term. Many of those of your organization might be, I hope not, like the chair. Efficient and effective. And you're probably sleeping on it and saying, okay, this is a good thing. But if one of the legs is breaking, do you think the other leg will align to the center to support you? No. Why? Because they're mechanistic. So it's efficiency and effectiveness mechanistic. And most organizations are like this. They are mechanistic. And some of you or some of us might live in a world where we say, okay, it's going fine. We have people know what to do. Everybody has their own responsibility. And it holds. And we are serving the clients, and that's effectiveness. And we do operate with optimal resources, and that's efficiency. But then there comes change. And the leg of the chair doesn't know to align. So what do we need? What do we need? Look at your hands. Look at your palm. This is organic. If I lose a finger, I still have a hand. If I lose 2 fingers, I still have a hand. Okay? Because the hand knows that it needs to make up for the rest. So it's organic. So you can function mechanistically or you can function organically. And in order to function organically, you need something else. You need that I role I said, integration. So to change the mechanistic spirit of your organization into an organic spirit of organization. Okay? So, now, we've seen what causes change. What's happening in the world with the rate of change? What's going on with us as managers? What can we do about it? So what you can do is to actually introduce this. So function, which is what it does in an organization, and form, what it looks like. So what I think every manager duty is to create a culture which proactively, constructively identifies opportunities and problems without outside help. I'm outside help. I am a business consultant. And my goal is to lose clients. Okay? I want to lose a client every year or every 2 years to achieve that, to resolve their issues and take advantage of the opportunities without outside help, because they need to be organic. So don't lie to yourselves. If it works and is mechanistic, at one point it will break. All right? And I also need what? I need a culture of mutual trust and respect. And I will explain a little bit later why we need that. But in the meantime, I want to use a metaphor. So if we're starting to bake a pie, what do we need first? Apple pie. Everybody likes apple pie? Maybe. So what do you need? Well, you need apples, is it? Firstly, okay. Apples are our people. If you have a bad apple, it's going to ruin the pie. It's true. So to change people, you can't change people, basically. What you can do is to actually work with people to change themselves. Yeah? So you can do it through coaching, for instance. One of the ways of doing it. But it's one by one, it's expensive, and it takes a long time to do that. Yeah? Coming back to the apple pie, what else do we need? We need a good recipe. So we need the sequence, quantities, and so on, correct? That's the managerial process. Who makes decisions? Who follows up? So let's say you have good apples and a good recipe. And what do we need? An oven, all right? So if the oven is broken and instead of 200 degrees it shows 250, what's going to happen to, to your apple pie? Get burnt. Yeah. All right? This burning thing, it's recurrent in our lives later, yeah? But I'm not going to enter that. That's your structure. Who's responsible for what in the organization? The oven. And now, let's assume that I think in my head that I'm actually baking a pie for, I don't know, Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. I had the privilege to meeting the Queen and be in discussion and corresponding with her several times a year because she was into horses like me. We are talking about horses. So let's assume in my mind is that I'm baking a pie for the Queen of England. I know the Queen liked the pie with lavender and on a golden plate. Yeah? But let's say you want to bake a pie for what? For a catering business or for a fast food chain. Although we have apples, maybe good apples, good recipe, and good oven, it will be a totally different pie. One in cardboard, one on a golden plate with lavender. Yeah? So this is why the companies need alignment on mission to be organic. So this is what we need. And the three things I put here, mission, structure, managerial process, is the environment. Okay? People are the product of their environment. So we better work on the environment rather than working on individual people. We'll achieve more. Yeah? So, again, what do I need? To create an organization and culture that is able by itself to spot and manage opportunities and challenges without outside help. And what do we need? How do we do that? How do we change the people? Well, changing their environment. And we need mutual trust and respect. And I will actually talk about this for a moment. So the managerial process, if you simplify it, has two branches. You need to make decisions, and you need to implement them. How do you know you make a good decision? Tell me. How do you know the decision was good? By looking at what? Okay, we have a few words, results. So then I'll tell you something. Okay, is now November, December is time of corporate parties. Yeah, right. So let's say I'm going to a corporate party. I drink. This is hypothetical, yeah. I drink and I drive. It's 2 o'clock in the night. I drink, I drive. Nobody on the streets. I arrive at a crossroads, intersection, red light. Nobody inside. I go through red lights, and I arrive at home early and safe. The result was good. Was this a good decision? No. So we can't actually judge the decision by the result. How many times you heard, okay, very good decision, but poorly implemented? Many times, okay. So to make a good decision, you need variety of styles and opinions. To make a good decision statistically sound. So you only look at the process, not at the result. So if you involve the right people, you have the right data, and you have a variety of style. So decisions should be democratic, because statistically, if decisions are autocratic, or let's say I'm forcing it dictatorial, what's going to happen? You will fail big time, and the history shows that. Yeah? So you need diversity. You need a diversity of styles I showed you earlier, yeah? With the producer, with the administrator, with the entrepreneur, and with the integrator. But in order for all these people that hate each other and have different opinions to reach a decision, not by, let's say, having or agreeing on a compromise and so on, but being able to listen to each other truly and understand each other, you need respect. That's the only thing you need. Respect. This is what you should cultivate in your organization. Respect, which means the ability to listen to each other even when you have divergent opinions. All right? So, then we move to implementation. If we move to implementation, I'm going to tell you something which is going to hurt. Every time you implement, you change something. Every time you change something, somebody loses. There is no such thing as win-win on short term. It doesn't exist. I never met it in my life. It's impossible. So change means somebody loses on the moment. So in order for people to stay there and implement and collaborate, you need trust. It's the trust that on a long term, you will have a win-win. All right? Because on the moment, somebody will lose. So that's the other ingredient for the organizations. And your duty as managers to cultivate trust, which means the belief that in the end is going to be a win-win. All right? If you take a country, what country? Switzerland. Switzerland. Is anybody Swiss subsidiary or anything? Raise a hand. No? No Swiss here. Okay, then I can say it. All right, no. All right, so Switzerland, you have what? You have German, you have Italians, you have French. They've been fighting each other since ever, yeah? Wars, I mean. Territories and so on. So why it works in Switzerland? Okay, why? Because it's a society which is highly based on trust. What do they export? Their national culture. They export what? Pharma, banking, food, watches. They're all the expression of trust. You can't buy pharmaceuticals for somebody who don't trust. You can't put your money somewhere you don't trust. So they are exporting the national culture. All right? So, once you, as a manager, go into decision and implementation, having this variety of styles in decision and producing change or somebody loses, although there is trust there will be conflict. And you can channel the conflict in being something constructive, or you can channel the conflict to be destructive. Disintegration. So the organization failed because they disintegrate. When there is change, the subsystems of the organization is moving at a different speed. They are moving at different speeds. All right? So sales in selling, production can't catch up. And you can't hire people fast enough for that. And they are changing at different speeds. Finance, you need to live long enough to change. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we are afraid of disintegration. Yeah. This is what we're afraid of. And what's the answer to that? Integration. We need to integrate. How do we integrate an organization? With mutual trust and respect. This is what we need to build, and the only thing we need to build. This is what we need to build. Now, coming back to our question, can AI replace managers? My question to you is, can AI handle conflict? Can it? Thank you very much. Right. I think I'm supposed to stay here for questioning, is it? All right, thank you. Questions? All right, so it means...
There's no?
It means it's been boring, yeah?
If it's not, I can, because we were discussing in the break about what's the difference between management and leadership.
Okay.
If not...
Right, all right, okay, so thank you for the question. So the thing is, most of the motivational books or theories of leadership you read, they look at leadership as a template. Okay, you need to be like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. Yeah. And by the way, I've been learning and teaching about 11 theories of leadership. I don't like any of them. As is truly. Everyone has something, especially the ones that are issued by publishing houses or business schools, or even universities like Harvard and Cambridge and so on. They are there to sell to corporate. This is why they're simple to understand. The complex ones require introspection and also require a lot of reflection. Yeah. So they're not easy to understand. So moving from that, the thing is, leadership or management and leadership, they have to be linked to the company life cycle. You need different type of leaders and different type of managers for different types of roles and different types of moments where the company is. This is what you need. And you can be a good manager if you have one of those producer, entrepreneur, or administrator, very developed, and still have the others to a certain level. So one of those, that's all you need to be a good manager if you match the role. But the difference in leadership is made by the last one, the integrator. So you can't be a leader without forging relations. So any of the other three, plus the I from integrator. Why? Because there is change, and because we disintegrate, and somebody needs to integrate. All right? Do you have more questions? No?
There's one there, just a second.
All right.
You are not getting it that easy.
What about authority? Because authority has a role of it.
Wonderful. How much time do we have? Okay.
You have it on the screen there. No more time, but we have time for this question.
All right, cool. So, in order to, you have, each of you has an area of responsibility. Because of the change around us, this area of responsibility fluctuates. Yeah? In order to do something, achieve something in your area of responsibility, you need one of the following three or a combination of the following three. Any one or a combination. Any combination. Authority, power, and influence. Any of these or a combination. Okay? Authority, it's easy in the human world because you are invested with it. So you say, okay, it's a function, it's a leverage, you're appointed. Some people have authority due to profession, like the doctors. All right? But many managers are actually, let's say, living in a paradigm where they think they have power. Power, most of the time, is not with the people that have authority. Look at our government. We say the people in power. They're not in power. They only have authority. The power is with the administration, which is blocking every single move. There is no power there. Sometimes there is no power in your management. You know who's the most powerful person, profession in, or among the most powerful profession? Is the postman. Because they can do whatever they want, and nobody will catch them, and they cannot deliver the mail, and you can lose very important things, and you don't know. So the power is what moves things, and the power, you can define it as the capacity to punish or reward, or more sophisticated, and this is what I like, is the capacity to grant or withhold cooperation, because we are talking about cooperation. So if you have people that have the possibility not to cooperate or cooperate, those are the people in organizations that have power. The power is there. It's not with the management. It's an illusion. And then you have also the influence. So, let's say you have only influence. If a problem arrives in your area of influence, but you have no power and no authority, what do? You call a meeting with the authority, so they can call a meeting with the power and get things done, because otherwise you can't do it. So authority is only one, to answer your question, from the three, let's say, things we can employ to actually perform our responsibility. And authority, it's invested, and to be honest, it doesn't work. Nobody does things because you say, I'm the boss. Power, you can use it once, but then what happens? If you reward too much, okay, can you increase salaries all the time? How long it lasts after you increase? The motivation and everything. Very little. So power is effective when you have it and you don't use it. And people know you have it. This is when it's effective. Influence, difficult to build. You need trust. Long time to build, but it lasts for a long time. I hope it answers the question. Thank you.